back to the 52 Weeks to Wealth. My name is Gualter Amarelo, the real estate mentor. And what we're going to be talking about today is Wealth Principle 35. Wealth Principle 35 is create an awesome team around you. The wealth principles were designed to get yourself to a place where you have doubled your income and doubled your net worth. Hence, if you want to do that with less work, you'd like to do that with less work also. It's crazy. Outside of this community, people think you've got to work hard for money. It's crazy because the harder you work, the more tired you are. That's the result of working harder. But the smarter you work, or the more intelligently you operate. I don't even like the word work because people misunderstand what work is. To me, work is a beautiful thing. It's something I enjoy doing. I love taking action towards a progression. But a lot of people have a bad connotation of work. When you hear the word work, what does it remind you of? Something that work reminds you of. The word itself. What is the emotion around it? What is the experience around it? Drop that in the chat. What is something that the word work reminds you of? Now, 3 years into it, we have dialed in the 52 Weeks to Wealth down to a science. We know what makes people successful. We know what helps you put more money in your pocket. And Wealth Principle 35 is a high leverage principle. You have to have the other ones in place before you can use this. Hence, if you recognize the principles are in order, they make sense. They stack on top of each other. So you apply each principle per week. The idea is it must be accomplished this week. If you can't accomplish it, once the next week starts, we shift into the next principle. So Wealth Principle 35, create an awesome team around you. You might ask yourself, why do I want to do this? Why is it important to have a team? Who here at some point in their business was a loner? So I do everything by myself. Anybody? I'm the best at what I do. I can't trust other people. Other people don't know how to do it the way I know how to do it. Anybody in the room can experience this? Know a friend who might have had this feeling or these emotions at some point? Here's what happens with that mindset is that as you're going through life, you're not going to be able to accomplish as much as you could if you had other people doing it. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of math with you, simple math. Think of Elon Musk has 100,000 employees. Is it possible that every one of those employees is working at least 10 hours a week? Well, if everybody in the Elon Musk's industry is business is at least working 10 hours a week. Now, take that 10 hours and multiply it by 100,000 people. Is it possible for Elon Musk ever in his lifetime to live 1 million hours? Is that possible? The answer is no. It's impossible to live 1 million hours. That would mean that you had to live hundreds of years. Felly, can you do the math for me? What is 1 million divided by 365? Just imagine this. You had the ability now to jump 100,000 weeks into the future. 100,000 weeks. That's all it was. 10-hour work week, right? 100,000 weeks into the future. Would you be somewhere different? Would you have more accomplished in your life? If you had access to an extra 100,000 weeks, let me look at it this way. So 10-hour work week, like working 10 hours, 100,000 divided by 50, it's 2,000, all right? That's 2,000, right? That's how many extra years Elon has operating for him. That's 2,000 extra years that you don't have because he's not doing it alone. He's got a team. 2,000 years. Who here is going to live 2,000 years? Anybody? I know me and Mike, we're like, we're going to live 200 years old, maybe 150. To live 2,000 years, you could accomplish quite a bit. He's able to do that. He has this happening for him every single year. 100,000 people are operating for 50 weeks every single year. Is it reasonable to think that somebody might be ahead? Now, just imagine this. You hire one person or you bring on one partner, one team member. You've now doubled how much work you can accomplish in the time that you're working together. 5 team members, you 5x the amount of work that can be accomplished in the time that you're working together. 10 team members. Who likes Grant Cardone? 10x, baby. You get 10 times as much as you would have accomplished if you were doing it by yourself. So you must create an awesome team around you. This wealth principle, like all wealth principles, has a process and a system behind it so that you can be successful in implementing it, especially for introverts. Wealth principle 35, create a team around you. There are 6 steps to creating an awesome team. The first step is vital. It is the most important step. You must have a clear vision of how long you want this goal to take and what this thing is going to look like. If you don't have a clear vision of where you're going, it's impossible to get there. Step 2, by the way, we're doing an exercise. Take notes. This is an important one. As you're going through this, we're writing these down, and I want you to be able to write down right on the side of the word vision. I want you to put in your vision. Yeah, a quick second. What is your clear vision? I don't mean like super detailed, just goal. It's a dollar amount or it's a dollar amount with a timeline for this exercise. Think about what you made last year and just double it. Hands camera, we can do this. Simple math. Awesome. I realized I can't throw those big numbers at you today. Number 2 is the right people. You must have the right people. And before we go any further with this team, you will decide who you surround yourself with based on who you are inside. So you must become the right person to attract the right team. You may have seen at some point in your life, or maybe somebody else, because I'm sure you only ever dated the person you're with and have only ever loved the person that you have decided to commit to. But, other people, when they were dating, they may have left a person who caused drama in their life. And then they left that person. And then shortly after, we're with another person, same drama in their life. Anybody notice this? The drama seems to travel with the person. It doesn't seem to be something they can get away from until they do some personal development. And then as you do that personal development, it starts to become different people in your life suddenly. Is it that you did work, or is it that just different people exist in the world? We know the world hasn't changed. It's all the same people out there, right? It's just that something inside of you, or something about the way you act, has attracted different people into your life. So in order to attract the right people, you must first become the right type of person. That means trustworthy, it means doing things morally, it means disciplined, it means somebody who's excited about the work. If you're hiring a job that you don't like doing or hate doing, guess what you're going to find? Somebody who doesn't like doing that job. So it's very important that you fall in love with the work. Learn it, do it, and then hire it, but you got to fall in love with it. Don't hire it once you hate it. You got to make sure you fall back in love with the process. And when you go to hire something, get back into it and just get excited about what you're selling. Get excited about, because by the way, when you're hiring, you're selling. We understand how this works, right? We're selling the opportunity to work with you, the opportunity to collect your money every month, the opportunity to be a part of your mission, your vision, your impact in the world. When you take somebody on in your team, you're creating an offer. Number 3, you must have the right data. You must have the right information about what you're looking to accomplish, about what your team is going to be able to do. A lot of times in companies, people will hire a staff and then say, hey, this is what I want done, go figure it out, without any kind of processes, systems, culture. And so your team doesn't have a way to do things. They have to figure it out on their own. Hence, can't recognize that might slow things down a little bit. You may not get the results that you want. So surrounding yourself with a great team, like the team we have here in Alchemist Nation, the team's over 30 people now. Some of them are celebrity coaches like Mitch Jorsky, Doug McGurk, Michael Shine, Dr. Terry Wager, and our other celebrity coaches who I don't see on the call at the moment. Then you have my business partner, which I'm going to talk about this at the stage at the summit. But my business partner, you never see him except for on these calls, but you just don't hear him. And yet this guy's doing a whole slew of things behind the scenes. And he owns everything with me 50%. Hence, can't recognize the team operates differently. Different team members have different roles, different things that they do. Then you have Darina, who, let's give the Russian princess a big round of applause. She loves those. She's amazing. Who runs another segment of the team. She runs our live events and our acquisition side. And then you have Amy McMurray, you have Andrew McMurray, you have Feli Wabin, right? You have our developers, dozens of developers that support our different components. You have Mark Dozwa, you have Frank, who else? Jen Sullivan. All of these are different partners within our company that focus on different success components. Then you have our millionaires. You got Melanie Santos. You've got, who else is in here? Kim Rodriguez. There's our millionaires who play a very important role in mentoring and inspiring people. So it's a large team. It's a team that just constantly is developing and growing, and everybody has a role. If they didn't, you wouldn't be moving forward the way you are. There's Roger Andrews, right? He's coming to the summit too. He's VIP. Let's give everybody a round of applause who's already a VIP ticket holder for the summit. Hell yeah. The team behind what we're doing is what makes the event special. When you're at the summit, you're going to see me sending praise and love to the guys who do the video, Jarrett and his team, and then the sound and audio is Philip, and the lights is Philip and Chris. It's an amazing group of people that make a 3-day event or a 4-day event an experience that to remember. In your business, there may be 1 or 2 people that you're missing right now. I know if you're working by yourself, you're missing at least 2 relationships, at least 2 people, because in real estate, there's 3 things that we need: deals, money, and labor. Those are the 3 components to real estate. 3 separate categories, 3 separate skill sets, and you must have all 3. And you must have processes for how those things are done. Step 4, list the challenges. You must have a list of challenges, things that are not working out, things that are problems in your company, a list of issues. Because if the company is running perfectly, then, well, maybe you don't need to add any new team members. But if there are challenges and issues, then the team is going to be able to attack them if they see them. Somebody has to be paying attention to the problem. Somebody has to be acquiring them, putting them together, because teams are great at destroying problems. at tackling challenges. If you're operating by yourself, you're missing the components that success requires. Who's heard, oh, I'm going to figure it out? Anybody say this? I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to take some time to figure this out. This week, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to spend some time figuring it out. Dr. Terry Wager is known for saying that you can't figure anything out. You only ever have the things that you have in here. External experiences are what will shift your awareness, shift your ability, shift the action steps you're taking. So getting into masterminds, getting into groups, getting team members, getting partners, different people will help you solve problems significantly faster. It shortens the amount of time. Remember Apollo 13? Has anybody seen that movie where they're in the spaceship and then there's like this round thing that had to go into the square thing and they were trying to figure it out, and like the whole team put it out on the paper on the table and like had all the pieces. Who remembers the scene of Apollo 13? And if you haven't seen the movie, go back and watch it. The spaceship had like a big catastrophic issue and they had to figure out how to keep these guys alive. And as they were doing it, the team on the ground, it was a full group of different specialists who understood the chemistry, understood the geometry, understood the chemicals and the products and the systems on the ship. So everybody had a different approach. They also had different skill sets. Your team is going to help you tackle those challenges, but you have to list them. You have to know what the challenges that you're facing are. Step 5, you must have processes. You must be documenting your processes, and then you must follow up on, did it get done? Did the process get completed properly? Who here knows how to do everything in their company? Who here's the person with everything in their head? You know how to do everything from start to finish. Everybody's hand should be raised. You are your company, right? You wake up every morning, you get out of the bed, like you know how to do that. Nobody else is doing any of these steps for you, right? When you go out and you're working, you have a system for how you operate with the phone. You have a system for how you text people. You have a system for how order a lead, a client, money goes through the process. Who here's a real estate investor? Where my real estate investors at? Yeah, you know the offer, the purchase, the financing, the closing, you know all of these steps. But if they're up here and they're not documented, you can't hire anybody right now. You can't bring in a team member unless you've documented your process. Now, fortunately, in real estate, there are some team members that are pre-documented, that come pre-exposed, like real estate agents, property managers, real estate attorneys, like our good friend Michael Shine, the closer. There's some people who have systems, but how your companies connect still must be a documented process, because that's your interaction with their companies. Hence, if you recognize that you're important in the documenting process. I literally just had this call with my brother yesterday. His academy for children to learn athletic movement and parkour. He said the numbers have been down month over month from last year. And I told him, I was like, bro, what do you mean down? And he said, yeah, like I got to hire this new kid. You know, he told me he's having a baby and his wife's quitting. This is how he said it. And, you know, the logical thing to do is his girlfriend's got to quit her job so she could take care of the baby, because they're financially already struggling. And so in order to make it fun, the best thing to do is for her to quit her job so she could stay home with the baby. Hence, if you know anybody who's ever done that before. Yeah, it just happens. But he cares about the instructor in his company. He cares about this person. And so he said, yeah, I can up your hours. I can up your pay. He didn't know how he was going to do. He just said yes. He said yes to the situation because it's a really good, important person in his company. He cares about and wants to see him do really well. So what Josh ended up calling me and was like, I don't know how to do this. He's like, I'm going to be paying this kid more than I pay myself right now. And he said, something about this is totally wrong. But if he takes all the work off of me or half the workload, then I can justify that, because now I have more free time and I can focus on the most important thing, marketing. I almost cried. I've been pushing him to focus on marketing for 5 years. So when you know what his excuse always is? I don't have time. Sorry, that's not my Josh voice, but yes, it is. I don't have time to work on my marketing. And so the conversation shifted to, he's like, but dude, like, I don't know what I do. I realized I wrote down a piece of paper of like the things he's going to do, and it was only like 10 things. Like, that's not going to take the workload off me because I don't know what I even do. Here's what's happening in your world. You have not documented your day for 30 days straight. Dennis Cummings, we spoke at the summit last year. He was my coach for last year, like getting my speaking right. But he was also the one who changed my life in 2015. He said he was running 2 chiropractic offices. In order to retire, he had to document 60 days, every single day, every single task he took in his company. He had to document it so that he knew what things a person had to learn. Hence, can't recognize this sounds like work. He said it was hell. And he's like me. He might have, grown up procrastinating, but he documented everything. And then he was able to automate his 2 chiropractic offices. If you understand chiropractic, it means your hands must be on another human being. That is the process. Your hands must be on another human being. So in order to automate that, somebody else's hands must be on another human being. We grasp the concept. This is a tough business to automate. Your business is not that hard. Figured out the processes, then he documented it, and then he followed up to make sure that the process that he documented was being followed and made sense, was easy for people to understand. This is a part of the game. Step 6, do your big rocks first. Big rocks are these assets. Once they're done, everything else would fit inside of it. Who's seen the jar with the rocks, the pebbles, maybe in the sticks and the sand? Who's seen this exercise done on YouTube? Never seen it? Well, Melanie, here's what I'll tell you. Go and grab a little thing of sand, grab a jar, and then you grab some sand, and then you grab some pebbles, and then you grab some sticks, and you grab some rocks, and try to fit them into the jar if you start with the sand, and then shift into the gravel, and then the pebbles, and then the big rocks, and then the sticks. It will be impossible to get that jar filled with stuff because it'll just fill from the bottom up. But when you focus on the big rocks, and you put the big rocks in first, then you could jam a stick in there. Then you could jam little pebbles in there and just shake the jar off and just shake it up, and everything kind of just shifts down. Then you put the sand inside, then you shake it up, and it all sits down. And when you do it right, like you focus on those big rocks in your life, that is your processes, it is your mindset, it is your desires. When you make sure your company moves in the direction, like you know where you want this company to go, how you want to impact your clients, how you want to serve the world, how much you want to make, how fast you want to make it, what kind of workload you're putting on yourself. This is the key. When you put the culture into your company, when you document the process, when you have like that clear vision, these 6 steps I just gave you, this is how you attract the most beautiful, amazing, productive team around you. And then everything else are the little distractions, the loud things. Everything else in your code, it's the, oh, this customer said this, or this person's not showing up today, or they didn't have time to do this. Those are the sand, that's the pebbles. It's all the little stuff that if you start with that, you're never going to be able to get to the core components that will change your life. And here's the deal. You start with the big rocks, right? You start with the culture. You start with your own personal vision, your leadership skills, and your processes that you document. You're going to have time because at the end of this exercise, you can take a beer and you can pour that inside because the water will fit inside of the bucket. But if you start with the water, then sand, all you get is mud at the bottom. It won't let anything else through. Hence, if you're catching the process, you understand the story now. It makes sense. That is the last step. You've got to start with the big rocks. And those first 5 steps are the big rocks. Do the first things first. Your team is your scale. Your team is your growth. If you currently work alone, you're earning what somebody who works alone earns. You're not earning more than $250,000. It's just the process. It's really hard to beat that $250,000 if you're doing it all by yourself. And here's the deal. Most people working alone will probably never get past 100,000 because the 100,000, you got to work pretty hard to get to that $250,000 if you're doing it all by yourself. Hence, Cam, if you've noticed this already in your life, you already felt it. You're like, yeah, shit, I agree. That is a little difficult. As you start bringing people into your team, you're gaining hours. OPT. Baby, write it down. We all know OPM because we're real estate investors, right? OPM, other people's money, right? This is what we're going to the 100 Millionaire Summit for, to learn this process. OPT is what I'm going to teach you. Other people's time, how to get other people finding the money for you, how to get other people finding the properties for you, how to get other people managing those projects, managing those buildings. OPT is how you scale this thing to the next level. And one of my friends that Mike Shine introduced me to, his name is Diami. He used to work for a company that was a $500 million real estate company. Who here has a vision of building $1 billion company? Is anybody on the call here? Look at you, ambitious people. I love it. Who here wants to build $1 million? Wants to, on a mission, become a millionaire? Hands can if you're on a mission to become a millionaire, build 100 millionaires. I love it. Give yourselves a round of applause. Smart people in the right room. Let's get it. Easiest way to do it. His name's on deeds, right? Well, this guy, Diami, he owned a company. You know what he did? Acquisitions. It's it. His only job for a $500 million company was to evaluate the deals. Who here evaluates their own deals right now? Everybody on this call evaluates their own deals. It's the last thing you hire out. These guys had hired him out. You know what their focus was? Talent acquisition. They didn't raise the capital. They had another guy who raised the capital. They hired that out too. An ex-financial planner, financial advisor used to go out and collect capital from hedge funds, from other financial planners. There's a process to this. OPT is how you get OPM, and it's how you get everything else done in your life. I've been known for saying that in life, you only have 2 currencies, time and money. Who knows that? That's true. Time and money. More recently, I've been doing some deeper research into how all this stuff works. And it turns out you only have one currency, and that's your relationships. Because with the right relationships, you get more time. You can use their time. With the right relationships, you could use their money. Hence the can, if you understand, it does all come down to relationships. You've been lied to. Strangers are not bad. Strangers are good. They lied to you, right? You don't have to do it by yourself. It's not better if you do it by yourself. You want something done? Have somebody better than you do it. Don't listen to the BS you've been sold growing up. If you want something done right, find somebody better than you to do it for you. That's how things get done right. That's how things get done better. That's how things get done faster. Build systems. Do the big rocks. Build relationships. This is what we're doing at the 100 Millionaire Summit. I'm putting it out there right now to say, you're building your team at this summit. You're building the people who are going to crush it with you. You're building the skill sets now on how you want to be used and moved within a company. It's okay to be used, by the way. Who here is using this 52 weeks to expand their wealth, expand their knowledge, expand their network? Oh my God, you guys are using me. Whoa, I didn't realize this. I can't believe you're taking advantage of the situation here. But that's a good thing. It works for me and it works for you. Being used, being implemented, being a useful person in somebody's life is a goal. Mike Shine, do you have this week's book of the week?
I have it in my brain.
I got it on the screen.
Thank you so much. So this is the perfect book for this week's. I think I've said in the past that when Gualter and I were figuring out this list, some of the books work perfectly, and this is one of them. Because Traction is, heard somebody refer to it as like the operating system for your business. And when Gualter says create an awesome team around you, well, Traction gives you all the parts of that, all the different roles that you need to fill is one part of the book. That's just one part of the book. And I just wanted to address the people who are like, it's just them. So they're like, oh, it's just me. I'm not going to read this book because this sounds like it's for some big team. But that would be a mistake, because this book is an amazing book to read if you are a team of one. Because let's say there are 10 roles. You know, this is the book where we get the visionary and the integrator from. That's where that comes from. And say there's like 10 roles on a team. Well, you may be starting your business having all 10 roles. But the thing about it is that as you bring on more people, you now know what parts to delegate to the new people coming in, and it makes it flow much easier. So it's truly like an operating system for your business. It has so many valuable parts, just meetings, everything you could think of on how to run a business. This is kind of like the cheat code for it. So I highly recommend it. And I'm emphasizing that if you're just a team of one now, a year from now, you won't be a team of one if you use this book, Traction. It's so awesome. It really is the operating system for any business. Thank you.
Let's give Mike Shine, our holistic attorney, the closer, the keeper of the books, a big round of applause. What Mike just said is so valuable to write down, because that's exactly what I did with this book. I said, oh my God, I've been doing all these hats, but I couldn't figure out what the hats were. And when I start breaking down like what the different pieces were, I could go online and find the job description for that role. So I knew now what I was missing, what I wasn't doing right. I could just start Googling the job descriptions, and it made it so much easier for me to say, wow, this is a role that's outsourceable. I didn't realize that this was a role that I could just have somebody else do. And so I was able to bring on virtual assistants or real estate agents or different partners in my business so that I didn't have to do the work anymore.